Hello, everyone. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We are recording this on Sunday, June 19th. Also, my firstborn son's birthday. He's my only son. But happy birthday to my buddy Reed. It's also Father's Day.
Far.
Yeah, he's my best good son. I ain't having no more kids. Y'all can forget about that. Pretty
What
special.
I said, buddy.
Pretty Coop's rocking 3 babies right now. Pretty special birthday. Pretty special day today, actually. It's Father's Day. My son's birthday, Juneteenth. Very popular holiday. You can see my son back here beating on the window right there. I don't know if you can see him. Let me see if you can see him real quick.
Yep.
Yeah, there he is.
Say hi, Reed. Oh, anyway, it's a little loose, little relaxed show today. We're going a couple topics here. Firstly, I want to give a shout out to Matt Fitzpatrick, PGA Tour U.S. Open winner today. His first win on the PGA Tour ever, and it happens to be a major. I want to give a shout out to the USGA, one of the coolest and best major championships I've watched in a long time. The course literally ate people alive, and I love that about golf. The winning score was 6 under through 4 days, which is pretty significant. But quick shout out to Matt Fitzpatrick. I know Coop's got a bone to pick with our guy Justin Thomas.
Yeah. So Justin Thomas made some waves complaining about the fairway shot that landed on the drain. Right.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And my issue with it is that all his complaints came after he didn't hit a good shot out of it. He asked for a judge. He did not ask for a drop. He probably could have taken a drop. He could have said, I'm going to hit the drain. I'm going to get it, it's going to affect me. They would have gave him a free drop. No big deal. Play on. But he said for the spirit of the game, he didn't take it. Played on, and then he bitched about it afterwards, complaining the whole time, like how angry he is at the rule and that he had to do that when he chose not to take the drop. Like, it wouldn't have cost him anything. He didn't even ask. He could have. He had the option. And then turn around and complain about it. Like, I think it's a bad look. That's petty. You're already in the news complaining about other golfers. Like, he is in his feels right now. And that's not a good place to be, especially in a sport that is as focused on your mentality as really any other sport. You have to be locked in golf, right? You have to be focused. It's you against everybody, against everything. And I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, this guy's definitely tore up about the whole LIV golf tour, and this has to be a direct shot at Bryson DeChambeau, who infamously declared, red fire ants as a unplayable lie. I think it was about 2 years ago, and that kind of kickstarted the whole.
You
Bryson
are definitely right on that
Brooks. And but you nailed it on the head. I mean, if you don't take advantage of the rules or call a judge over to at least get a ruling, you give up any right to complain because you discarded it there at that moment when, he clearly could have got relief if he would just asked for it. So the fact that he's even bringing it up is stupid.
And the good thing is about this situation is the difference between Justin Thomas and me is the best club in the bag is the foot wedge. So you can just kind of kick it off to the side a little bit when you're playing regular golf. But Justin Thomas is one of the greatest golfers in the world today. He is very emotional when he plays the game. I like Justin Thomas, honestly. He's a Kentucky kid. I'm going to root for him all the time. He's been in some deep water with, his, I would say, comments on the golf course. He lost, his polo sponsorship by saying some derogatory words to his golf ball, but people didn't like the words he said to his golf ball after he missed a putt. So he lost a big sponsorship. So now, he does things that we all do on the golf course. Like he's talking to his ball, he's talking to himself. He's not being that guy that just straight up outwardly is talking about other players. But Dave, you're right about the Bryson DeChambeau thing. DeChambeau definitely would have called a rule official over, and he would have definitely got a free relief from that placement. But he didn't hit the drainage system or the sprinkler, whatever it was. He didn't hit it with the club, but he hit a bad shot, and he said out loud, and the microphone, hot mic, picked it up. He just said, hey, if that was anybody else, somebody else would have called for a rules official and got it out of that spot, but I didn't. I was trying to be a good person. That's what happens to me. He was like, what a terrible luck I had.
Dumbest thing ever. If you're gonna be the hero, be the hero. Don't
Yeah.
bitch about it when you don't save the princess.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite sports term is if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So,
It's really hard to cheat right now because Patrick Reed is the biggest known cheater in golf right now, and the dude gets caught on camera every single time, and social media blows his ass up. Like they do not let him live it down. It's bad. But he's in the LIV tour now. They played. It was weird seeing those guys playing this week. Did you guys watch any of it?
Yeah, I watched yesterday and today.
It was weird, like knowing that Phil Mickelson came out, played like ass, but it is like DJ made the cut. I think Patrick Reed made the cut. A couple other guys, Louis didn't make the cut. A couple of those bigger names that went over to the LIV tour made the cut, and just watching them play, you noticed that they didn't get a lot of airtime. They got a shot here, a shot there. There wasn't a lot of coverage over them, and I feel bad for the guys they were playing with because those guys deserve the airtime more than the other guys did. But I look to see golf take a change in allowing those guys to play in majors. And I saw.
Come on.
I'm telling you, the only reason they played in the majors is because the criteria was set way before they decided to go over to the LIV Golf Tour. And what happens is when the criteria is set for the new majors, they're going to have to be members of the PGA in order to participate. That's what's going to happen.
Not technically. Greg Norman came out today and said they are going to apply to have World Golf Tournament or whatever points associated with the LIV. So
like World Golf rankings.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So they would be included in those, and that's where the majors, the fields are set based off of those points, and all those guys were able to get on there.
But here's what you're going to run into that is, a couple years down the line, let's say the LIV does really good and has, a good following here in the next 4 or 5 years. What happens is, a lot of people to get in those major tournaments have to have exemptions. So if you would have like some guy, I forget his name, I think it was Hadley or whatever, finish in the top 10. Well, he's exempt for next year's U.S. Open. Those guys are going to start running out of exemptions. And now they're not going to have a way into the tournament because they don't play in the PGA Tour. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to run into eventually.
But if it's off of World Golf rankings and then LIV gets into that, because that's what the U.S. Open people came out and said was, we can't not let these guys play in there because you just open up a can of worms of, well, do we let the European Tour players?
Well, they do sometimes.
Right, but I mean, I get that. I get the Saudi Arabia is bad government. Politics is why everybody doesn't like this new golf league. But just because you don't like who's funding it doesn't mean that, like, I feel like you can just banish those guys because they decided, hey, they're going to go make their money. That's guaranteed. Versus everybody that showed up last weekend at whatever tournament, they had no money guaranteed.
Right.
Or, they guaranteed last place money. That was it. DJ's going to walk around for a year with guaranteed, $40 million. I feel like you can't ban them, especially the majors that aren't technically PGA affiliated other than the PGA Championship. And that's where I was listening to a podcast today. The Masters is going to be the one to watch for because that's the first one of the year, and they beat to their own drum. They don't really follow the U.S. Open or the Open. And they're going to be the ones that probably set the bar on what they're going to do with these guys.
Yeah, if I'm a golfer that joined Live, either I've won my majors and I don't care anymore, or I haven't won them and I don't care anymore. Like what they do doesn't matter, right? I'm leaving PGA. I'm already getting more guaranteed money. I'm getting a check every time I golf, regardless of how I play. You want to cut me out of 4 extra weeks of travel and expenses to stay somewhere and all of the guidelines and structure that you're forcing into these players? Fine. I'll play 8 weeks a year and make more money than 90% of the guys on tour. Like, I just think PGA screwing up. The players don't care. All they're doing is trying to turn the fans against those guys.
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't think that I'll ever stop watching golf, regardless of who's on the PGA Tour. I don't. It doesn't matter to me. I've been sitting on this front porch for 2.5 hours watching golf. So I've watched if I could turn the camera around, I've got toys all in my front yard. Like my son is golf. I swear he's 2 years old. It's his birthday today. He's golf crazy. For some reason, I don't know, but I'll be on the TV. I'll say, "Hey, you want to watch golf?" And he'll be like, "Yes." And that's one of the 4 words he can say. It's golf. So I'll continue watching golf. It's one of my favorite things to watch on TV. People can say what they want about it, but it's awesome. But that's really quick our coverage on the PGA Tour and the LIV Tour. And another quick shout out to Matt Fitzpatrick for winning the U.S. Open today. It was a great tournament. There was a lot of people in contention. One of my favorite golfers right now is Scotty Scheffler. Came up a little bit short, had a tough day. Another one of my favorite golfers, John Rahm, number 2 in the world, had a really tough day today. And that's a great thing about the U.S. Open is because that course, the country club, it was, the first country club in America, I reckon. It was the first actual country club, and that's where they held the major today. It's built in like the early 1900s. There's blind shots all over the place, blind tee shots, blind second shots, all that good stuff. But it was a really good tournament to watch, and that's the one thing I love about golf is you really never know what's going to happen until it's over with. And Matt Fitzpatrick, first win of his career, happens to be a major. He's got a long career ahead of him. So. Moving on, one of the more funner things, I guess that's a word, funner. One of the more fun things that we've done on this show, we have planned today, and we're going to actually rank, and it was actually David's mom's idea. Shout out to Jane Hayes, one of our loyal listeners. Mentioned that we need to do an episode on picking our favorite or worst, or the best or worst athlete commercials of all time. Now, I have one in particular. And I don't care to go first, but when it comes to athlete commercials, I'll pick a couple of athletes. Number 1, I'm going to pick my favorite commercial of all time, and it's Peyton Manning's DirecTV commercial when he has the skinny legs and his socks keep falling down because his legs are so tiny. I can't remember like the actual content of the commercial itself, but the fact that Peyton Manning was in all these commercials toward the end of his career, it's hilarious. Now, one of the worst commercials of all time is anything that Shaquille O'Neal is in. Anything.
I love Shaq. I love the big diesel.
I
love Shaq, but the dude, he's in a freaking General Insurance. Go to the General and save some time. Yeah. That's stupid. Do you have the General Insurance, Dave?
Well, no.
Coop, do you have the General Insurance?
I have an open quote, but I haven't actually changed over yet.
Exactly. Kentucky Farm Bureau on this end. I don't know what you guys have, but it ain't the General. Okay.
Shaq is actually hometown. I'm still ripping Elkins.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Shout out. But like the General is not something that people in Kentucky are going to buy, and he's the most random thing in the world is him being in an Epson printer commercial. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen it.
He's in an Epson printer commercial with the ink. It's like an ink cartridge that you like put the actual ink in. Each card, there's 3 different colors. Why in the hell, Shaq, are you in an Epson printer commercial? It's like he literally says yes to every single offer that he has.
Shaq is worth.
You're right, David.
Shaq is worth some money,
dude. The dude can freaking.
He is diversified.
He'll sell
His
anything.
investments are insane.
He'll sell.
He owns like 100 Five Guys restaurants,
and he also is a general manager, and he's on the board at Papa John's.
Yeah,
I mean his Papa John's commercial. I love Papa John's. I got a Papa John's about 700 feet to my left right now, and I ordered it the other day and had him deliver it. Had him deliver it to my door, and it's like 700 feet to my left. But anyway,
my favorite thing about Shaq, before we move on, so Shaq is worth X amount of hundreds of millions of dollars, right? He's not a billionaire. He's in the hundreds. I think we can safely say that.
Yeah, he's one of the richest athletes of all time.
He refuses to give his kids anything. He's told them all, you're not getting any of my money. He was like, I'm giving you this lifestyle. I'm giving you this opportunity to go to college. It's on you. I made my own money. Nobody helped me. You're going to do the same. I love that about him. And I'm sure it may not be how it happens, when and if, and let's hope it never does, but if Shaq passes away and that fortune has to be handed down, it'll probably go to his kids in some form
Surely
or
to
fashion.
God it will.
Oh yeah.
But to instill that idea mentality, like you've got to earn it for yourself. You see what you can have, now go get it. I love that.
I'll give
Well, I mean, Shaq came from nothing, and now I just Googled it. He's worth $400 million.
Yeah.
That's, I love seeing that, especially on Father's Day, a guy trying to teach those values to his kids.
one of the best things that he's ever done, and I've seen this story multiple times, is he had like a multi-million-dollar deal with Reebok ready to sign, and something happened along the way that his agent was like, no, this and this happened, and his mentality shifted to where, there's so many kids out there that can't afford your shoes that he's like, I'm going to start my own brand. And now, if you walk into Walmart now, today, and you walk down the shoe aisle, everything you see has the Shaq logo on it. And, they're cheap. They're like, $20-$30 for a pair of shoes. But he's like, I've put shoes on millions of kids that couldn't afford them otherwise.
Right.
People make fun of people for wearing Shaq shoes, or people make fun of him for being like, oh, your shoes were in Walmart. But, he's a guy that literally took his interest away from it and then put his interest toward other people, paying it forward for the young kids. That's one thing I do like about Shaq. He will be on any commercial and sell anything you want him to. He could sell a blade of grass to somebody, but he did make a life decision early on in his career that did have an effect on a lot of young people in this country. So shout out to Shaq for that.
Yeah, I see stories every month. He's buying a kid a bike because he sees them at Walmart, or he's paying for an entire restaurant's meals. Like, he's a good dude.
He's a good dude. Would totally dominate today's basketball, by the way. Nobody can stop that dude right now.
Yeah, he can play in any era.
Yep.
All right, guys. What are your commercials? What are your favorite, or in your opinion, what are the worst commercials, including athletes, that you've ever seen?
Yeah, so I'll jump in here. Just watching through some commercials before we got on here. The one that just always makes me laugh is when the Manning family is walking through the Bristol ESPN headquarters, and you got Peyton and Eli just giving each other hell. Peyton giving Eli wet willies and so on. Like, whenever you get Peyton and Eli together, it's gold. It's the fact that they've produced two NFL quarterbacks, potentially a third here in a few years, and they're funnier on camera just speaks to the talent of the Manning family.
I tell you what, when I watch Monday Night Football, if Peyton and Eli are on, I'm watching that stream over any other stream that they have. It's the best. My wife even says the same thing. She watches that one over anything else. So Peyton and Eli have it down straight. They knew what they were going to do after football, and they are doing a damn good job at it.
Oh,
yeah. I'll think that Peyton's going to end up in this Broncos deal. I know it's been bought. The Walton family pretty much bought it outright, from my understanding. But Peyton Manning is definitely going to be a part of that organization, even though he was there for 2 seasons, I think. He didn't play a third, right? Regardless, he seems really closely tied to the Denver Broncos, and I could see him stepping in there. Yeah, he's been great for TV. He's been great for everything, for the sport. Like you said last week, Fitzpatrick saying he's the greatest quarterback of all time, right? I mean, he has an impact on the players too. I do appreciate that. I'm going to go a different route on my commercial. I didn't go funny. Mine, shout out to Austin Monet on this, because, he was on our March Madness podcast, and that was one of the things me and Austin did back in high school. We would watch these videos, motivational videos, old commercials. And in April 2008, Michael Jordan and Jordan Brand released Maybe It's My Fault. I don't know if you guys have seen that before.
I don't remember it.
So I'm going to read it real quick. I'm not going to play, we won't play the video for you. But it's just Michael Jordan in a voiceover, and it's video streaming through, his statue outside the United Centers, his trophy room, his practice jersey at UNC, the court and locker room back at Laney High School. But here's the text. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner, that my game was built on flash and not fire. Maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, that my pain was motivation. Maybe I led you to believe that basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life. Maybe I destroyed the game, or maybe you're just making excuses. And then it comes up with the Jordan brand and says become legendary. And like to this day, that'll get me up off the couch. Like I'm fired up. I'm ready to go do something. Like I absolutely love that commercial.
Let me go shoot a basketball.
And it's got a little bit of that UNC in there, and it's still got Jordan's ability to brag about himself in whatever he does. And it's what makes him great. I love it. I think he's one of the few people you can say is the greatest of all time in his sport. And I really don't think there's much argument.
I think there's 3 people on this earth that you can say probably that they're the greatest of all time in their sport, and it's Michael Jordan, it's Tom Brady, and it's Tiger Woods.
I'd go Gretzky. I think Gretzky over Brady.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go for. I forget about hockey. I'm new to hockey. You guys forget about that. Go Avs, baby.
Oh, man.
Go Avs, baby.
What is that? Like you're 15?
No, I'm still a Predators fan, Dave. Come on now. Listen, when we go, when us 3 get together one day, we will go to a hockey game, either in Nashville or St. Louis, and we might live stream a podcast at the hockey game. That might happen. Definitely make some videos.
Do it.
Good content at a hockey game, Dave.
Yeah.
I want to go to I want to go to Nashville and throw a catfish on the ice. That's what I want to do.
I want to press
get
pass
banned for life because you're not Taylor Luwan.
Oh, well, me and Taylor Luwan. Listen, busting with the boys, Taylor Luwan. I'm going to tag you. I'm going to make a post on Twitter. I'm going to tag Taylor Luwan in this post. Take me to a Nashville Predators game. Get me in. Let me throw a catfish on the ice. You take the fall for me. Left tackle, Tennessee Titans. Hook me up with an exemption. On one, give me one cat. It can be a baby cat. It can be a baby blue, about this big. Just let me throw it on the ice. Come on now.
You got some dreams there, Frank.
All righty. Coop,
All right. Well, before we go on, all right, go ahead, Frank.
I was going to say, Coop, I haven't seen that commercial. I might have, like, periodically here and there. But that does sound very inspirational to me. And as a coach of young individuals, it is something that I could see being super influential and super regenerative toward, like, a mentality that I need to be in as a coach. People making excuses. I can't stand that shit. It is what it is. You go do what you can do. If it doesn't happen, you didn't work hard enough. That goes with everything I believe in terms of athletics. When it comes to like the kids I coach, the people that I teach, all that good stuff, it goes hand in hand. And I do like that. I'm going to look it up, and I don't know if I can put videos, like splice them into this video without getting copyright banned, but I'm going to try. So when you guys get done, shoot me like a link to a YouTube video.
Yep.
I wonder if I can save it. I don't know if I can save a YouTube video or not. I'm not that tech savvy. But if anything, we'll put some clips in there. I know you can't put music in there because you do get copyright strikes for that. And if we get 3, we lose our 33 subscribers. Which, really quick, before we move on, shout out to our new subscriber. I have no idea what your name is. Can't even pronounce it, but it's a subscriber. But here we are with 33. We gained a subscriber last week. So we really would love to get to 100. That's our goal. Let's get us to 100. After that, whatever happens, happens. We got all kinds of views on TikTok, all kinds of views on Twitter, all kinds of views on YouTube. We want some subscribers. Let's boost that view. Facebook is doing really well for us as well. So just a really quick social media shout out. Social media update for us. We need more views. Support the channel. All right. Who's next? Anybody got anything else?
I got one more commercial I want to call out just because of the relevance right now. There was a Subway commercial. Came out this year, maybe last year.
I love Subway.
Jason Tatum and Draymond Green. You guys remember this one?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Tatum's like, my sub can score in buckets. And, Draymond says something else, and Tatum's like, well, my sub will dunk on you. And then Draymond's like, well, my sub has more rings than yours.
Still does.
Draymond's sub just added another ring, boys.
Yeah.
So, really quick on that, I hate to change the subject, but Steph Curry, he's got 4 rings. What is it? He's got his finals MVP now.
Mm-hmm.
He's got multiple NBA MVPs. At what point in time do we start putting him in the conversation as top 5 all time? Is it happening right now?
You can't do the NBA. You can have a definitive best. Michael Jordan was the best player to play in the NBA so far. To do a top 5 is so hard because there's so much diversity by position.
Yeah.
I think it has to be positional when you get into those rankings. I think he can be in the conversation among the greatest point guards of all time. I don't think he can pass Magic because of what Magic did for the game. I mean, the Showtime Lakers were the predecessor to D'Antoni in 7 seconds, and the game we're seeing today that has given us Steph. Steph didn't exist back then. You didn't
That's
have
true.
him.
That's true. I can see that.
But he's definitely up there. I mean, Jerry West, John Stockton, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry. I don't think it's crazy to throw those names together.
Yeah, definitely the greatest shooter of all time. I think that is undisputed.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it 100% though. It's it's 5 guys out on the court. It's hard to say, what would Michael's career have been if he didn't have Scotty and Rodman. Even talk about Wilt and
Bill Russell,
Kareem, like all those guys, they were on mega teams. So
here's what I don't understand about, we have no ifs, ands, or buts about talking about who the best hockey player is in Wayne Gretzky, who the best golfer is in Tiger Woods, or who baseball is another different story. But who the best quarterback is.
Tiger Woods the best golfer? Tiger
In
Woods
terms
still chasing the
of
ghost, boys.
But in terms
Tiger
of
Woods still
skill,
chasing.
Listen, Coop. In terms of skills, and that's what we really there's a difference between being the best football player or golfer of all time and then who has the most of whatever. Just because you do this and that on a team sport is different. The way Tiger has changed the game. Whenever Tiger came on, nobody expected him to do what he did. Tiger became the face of golf and has been the face of golf for years. He's still the face of golf, and he hasn't played.
Yeah.
Now, there's not one other person you can put on the list of being the face of golf right now. And that's saying something other than Tiger Woods. You can throw Rory in the mix. You can throw Jordan Spieth in the mix. You can throw Justin Thomas in the mix. It's still Tiger. It still is. Every time Tiger steps on a golf course, the cameras are on him. The gallery is walking behind him. And he's 46 years old. He's still the face of
Tiger was coming, though.
We did, but there's always
at 2 years old. He was on talk shows. He was on national TV at 2 years old, hitting off the tee.
That's true too.
But Johnny Carson.
We have that all the time with all kinds of different things. We see videos all the time of baseball players hit. I saw a video of Darvish's kid pitching the other day. He may not ever make it. You never know.
Yeah, but 44 years ago, those videos were a little different.
That's true.
You're right. We have access to everything now, but back then, I'm not saying he's not.
But why is my question? I was getting to it was why is basketball so much different? Why are we sitting here having a debate on who's the best of all time? And I couldn't tell you who the best was all time. I'm not a huge basketball person. I know it's always between Jordan and LeBron. People are like, LeBron's better, Jordan's better. And I know we all have our opinions, but why is there such a fight about it? I don't understand it.
So for the same reason,
it's a difference though.
It's a generational thing. 30 years down the road, it is. I think it is.
It is. Basketball, you have 5 different games going on. Whereas golf, they're all playing the same game. You have the same 18 holes you're going out.
I see that.
And you know who the best is.
Let's say who would be the greatest football player of all time?
You can't do that. There's 22 on the field at a time. There's no way.
That's what I'm saying. People are going to try to make that assumption. They're going to try to put a name at the top. And I understand that you can't, and I don't believe you can at basketball either. But people still people still do it.
Yeah, and here's why I think you can. So Michael Jordan, whatever, 6-0 in the finals. Great. I don't think the highest career average, but close to it, like 30-some points a game over the course of his career. All NBA defensive team, defensive player of the year, MVP, finals MVP, like all the trophies. But I went back this week actually and watched his flu game on YouTube. I just felt like watching it. The finals, Game 5 against the Jazz. And the intro by the NBA, what they put out for that video, was the sport's greatest player. That's what they called him. The league or any outlet of it has never recognized LeBron in a public advertisement or anything like that as the world's greatest player. The NBA knew it. Like, they met with him. They told him, you're the face of this league. You're changing this league. You are the NBA. And he was. There's never a time during Jordan's playing career with the Bulls, let's take those Wizards years out of the equation. Those don't count. That anybody had a conversation about who the best player in the NBA was. Right? Who's the best player in the NBA today?
You could pick
It's
two
not
different
LeBron.
people. It would
It's
be
not
Steph.
LeBron.
It's Steph or Giannis or Jokic. Everyone. There's three of them.
Right. Or Embiid.
You can't pick one.
Or Durant.
You can't pick one.
It's not LeBron. So that ends the conversation for me. When Jordan was playing,
You made
and
a point there.
competitive,
So
he was never not the greatest player in the league.
that's a good point, Coop. So I'm going to clip this right now, and I'm going to say that the Trifecta Sports Podcast greatest basketball player of all time would be Michael Jordan because throughout his career, he has never not been the best player in the NBA.
Yep.
Whoa. Except for those Wizards years.
Yeah, Wizards don't count. You gotta get the Wizards out.
So you're going to, okay, so I know I'm going to shout out Bryce Marion because Bryce Marion is a loyal listener. He always makes fun of Dave's takes and says that they're crap. Bryce watches a lot of sports. He is a big LeBron fan. And he's going to tell us that, okay, so you're just going to take LeBron's Lakers years out of the equation too? So are
I
you?
think LeBron wants us to take those years out.
So Jordan would want you to take the Wizards years out, right? Not only was he not
Jordan,
great during the Wizards years, those uniforms were awful.
Here's the difference. LeBron would be like, oh, AD was hurt. Russ didn't have his head in the game. Jordan will be like, let's play right now. Let's play one-on-one. Let's see. That's another thing that's the difference there. LeBron's going to say it's this. And I'm not saying he makes excuses, but I'm saying if confronted with that statement, he's going to say, this is why I had a hard time with the Lakers. Where Jordan would be like, that's fine. Let's play right now. I'll beat you. I'll show you I'm still the greatest.
And in my opinion, if you look at what LeBron has 3 rings, is that right? Miami,
4.
Cleveland, and the Lakers.
He has 4.
2 with the Heat?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know 1 for the Heat. He has to thank Ray Allen for hitting that shot in the corner. The one with Cleveland, he has Kyrie to thank because he took over that series. And his one with the LA was in the bubble. And we all know that doesn't count. So
I agree 100%.
I mean, we have the flu game with Jordan. Jordan, you could say, was the main staple for winning those 6 championships. LeBron has 4, and we'll say he was the main contributor for 1 of those.
So
no, I disagree with that take. I do have that's a little different. Not main contributor.
here's the problem I have with that as well, and I'm not going to pick a side whether it's Team LeBron, Team Jordan. Here's the thing I'm going to have to take.
You got to pick a side, Frank, because it's
I
not even
can't pick a
close.
side.
Are you serious?
Here's the thing.
You can really
because-
make a case for LeBron over Jordan.
Well, when you talk about Jordan's runs to the championship, you're talking 5 players, maybe 6 players that I could think of that would be ranked in the top 50 players of all time.
Oh, no. You were so wrong.
How am I wrong, Coop?
Karl
Jack,
Malone, John Stockton,
Penny,
Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Shaquille
Reggie
O'Neal,
Miller.
Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler.
All right, I lose. You win.
Patrick Ewing.
He was a scrub. We all know that.
The East was a beast, though, for them.
I don't know how we even got on this. How do we get on this topic? We've wasted 20
Yeah.
minutes on this topic alone.
I had a Jordan commercial. That's what brought us to
That's right. Hey, but anyway, that's going to be a good clip for YouTube. Anybody else got any commercials before we piss like every single Gen Zer off in the world?
I got
12
an
of them.
honorable mention one.
Okay, what you got?
All right, it's not a sports guy, but my man John Clayton and his Slayer commercial for ESPN. I believe it was fantasy baseball. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
That
John
is
Clayton.
All time commercial.
That's one of the best commercials of all time. I might put that above any. That's going to be above the Peyton Manning Sox commercial for me. I forgot about that one where he rips off the top half of his tuxedo, climbs into bed and gets his little Chinese food and starts eating. He goes, "Mom, I'm done with my segment." God, that's great. That's a great commercial, Dave. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
That made my day. Rest in peace, John Clayton. Passed away this year.
There's another one. I just saw it. I'm sorry. I know we're getting off on a tangent here, but it's Kyrie Irving. I think it's a Foot Locker commercial, and he's sitting there. He's like, pulls out the shoe. He's like, man, everything feels right in the world. And then you got Mike Tyson at Evander Holyfield's door, and he hands him back a piece of his ear. And you got Dennis Rodman on a one-way flight to North Korea, and the person at the desk is like, one way? Like she's so excited that Rodman's leaving for good. You got Craig Sager burning one of his like Paisley dress coats, his dress jackets. He's in just a regular one.
R.I.P. Craig Sager.
There's one more on there. Yeah. Sager strong.
Shoo, man. ESPN commercials have to be some of the best of all time. Regardless of what they've done. It could be just the ESPN announcer. Stuart Scott was always great in them. Rest in peace, Stuart Scott.
UNC.
ESPN has the best commercials of all. They don't even do them anymore. That's the problem. There was a heyday of ESPN back when SportsCenter had like the little lineup on the side of what was happening.
There's no commercials anymore, guys.
That's the thing, and ESPN pisses me off because now they have everybody and their mom with a show now. Stephen A. Smith should not be on TV. There's these people running these shows. Max Kellerman is okay. Colin Cowherd is not on ESPN, but he's a piece of shit. But here we are with all of these people with their own shows saying the same shit over and over again. When like us three could do a better job than half the people on that network right now.
A quick sidetrack. Who's your favorite ESPN sportscaster right now? And Scott Van Pelt doesn't count because he's everybody's favorite. We can't do SVP.
I was going to say SVP because SVP After Dark is awesome.
Yeah.
That's hard for me to say.
I don't even know if I know any other sportscasters for ESPN right now.
Are you talking about like on the network, like sitting at a desk sportscaster, or are you talking about like broadcaster during game broadcaster?
No, I'm talking network. Like there's your talking head, or they have a feature on SportsCenter, ESPN News, any of that.
Honestly,
somebody that covers content.
I couldn't name a bunch of them, honestly.
The one I'm most
Matt Vasgersian just got. Matt Vasgersian got let go. I think he was a baseball announcer or a baseball analyst. I would say probably Greenberg. Mike Greenberg. That'd probably
go
be one.
I'm Mina Kimes. I really stick to NFL, and a lot of her takes line up with mine.
I'll say this: similar. The women on ESPN do a much better job than the men right now. Kari Champion was one. I don't know if she's still there or not, but she was one of them that I liked a lot. Who is the other girl that did the Olympics? What's her name? She left ESPN as well.
Coverage.
But she left ESPN.
Shelbourne?
No. I'll think of it in a minute. But she's awesome too. She does college football. Or did college football.
Dave, you got anybody?
The one I'm thinking about is JJ Redick, which I think he's pretty new.
Oh yeah, he's brand new.
But I like is it him and is it Kendrick Perkins that go back and forth?
I hate Kendrick Perkins. He is useless. JJ Redick is Reddick is one of the best things that's happened to the ESPN NBA takes in a long time.
And listen,
Talk about
guys,
a guy who has transformed from a hated Duke guy.
Everybody loves him.
Carolina and UK here on this podcast, and for us to say that JJ Redick is one of the best things on ESPN
easily
speaks volumes,
hands down.
Yeah.
Maria Taylor is the girl I was talking about. She was awesome.
Oh yeah, there was some controversy here on that departure.
Yep, her and Rachel Nichols, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Maria Taylor is awesome. I don't care what anybody says. I'm Team Maria Taylor. So we have our television aspects of the show today. We have our best and worst commercials of all time. We've all had a pick. Take a chance. Look up the commercials we're talking about if you haven't seen them already. There's some funny ones. There's some serious ones. We all know Shaq's done some bad ones, but it's okay. We still love Shaq. We're going to switch gears here for the last little bit of the show. And just like we did a couple weeks ago, maybe last week. Did we do it last week? I can't remember.
Week before, I think.
Week before last, we picked the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. As a group, there wasn't a lot of arguing, surprisingly, that we come up with the top 5 quarterbacks in the league currently. Today, we're going to pick, as a group, there's some we agree with, some we may not agree with, but collectively, we're going to come up with the top 5 running backs in the NFL, and I believe there's going to be some arguments to be made here. So, I have made a list, and I have 7 players on my list of the top 7 running backs in the NFL.
Frank, I know that you're not specifically a math teacher, but 7 is, in fact, more than 5.
Listen,
so we
Coop,
cannot accept that list.
I think of the 7, there are 5 on this list that are 100% we can all agree with that are top 5 in the NFL today. So.
Do you know who I am?
Okay, you're probably wrong, Dave. There's no chance that you're going to name a player that's not on this list that's top 5 that's going to make it in the top 5 by the end of this show. So,
all right,
before we get started,
accepted.
Here's what I'm going to say. Who, in your opinions, based on the last year, a couple years back, going into the 2022 NFL season, who would you put at the top? We don't have to rank the rest of them, but there is one guy that we all have that I'm sure that we can all agree with. Who would be your number 1? Who would be the first person to go on this list? Who is your?
I think this is hard. This isn't.
I think
no
it's hard too
for me.
It's not no doubt for me, but I think.
But I've got one.
Okay, I want to hear yours first before I'm going to have it in my head.
Dave, yours is easy. Go ahead, lay it out.
Dave, go ahead. Yeah. Who you got?
Jonathan Taylor. I think it's no doubt he is a young stud. It's pissing me off that in every league I'm in, he was a rookie draft pick and he's been protected for like 3 years. He hasn't been available for redraft. If I'm picking a running back for my team today, it is Jonathan Taylor.
That's who I had in my head. Just saying.
I had him number 1, but it was close, man.
Okay, so we can automatically put Jonathan Taylor in the top 5.
Let's give some stats on Taylor just so people can appreciate.
I didn't put stats down because I knew Coop would have them.
That guy.
So 1,800 yards last season.
Go ahead,
18
Coop.
rushing touchdowns. 5.5 yards per carry. Of running backs that had over 200 carries, 5.5 yards per carry was the highest average. Okay. 40 catches, 360 receiving yards, and 2 more touchdowns. So a guy put up over 2,000 all-purpose yards and 20 touchdowns last season. This is the most impressive stat to me. Dave's told us the first downs before on an earlier episode. What was it?
I was going to say first downs.
7.
Yeah.
That was early.
Of the fastest plays recorded in the NFL last season, like an individual player speed measured by their metrics on any play at any time from any position, Jonathan Taylor had 3 of the top 5. That is insane.
That's pretty good.
You're talking about being on a field with Tyreek Hill, who calls himself Cheetah, guys like Marquise Brown, who do nothing but run deep and hope the ball falls in their arms because they can't actually catch it. Like cornerbacks, safeties with wide open field, nobody touching them, nobody to cut around, just beeline to the ball. And Jonathan Taylor
running through the tackles.
Yeah, hit over 22 miles an hour on 2 different plays last season in full pads while evading tacklers.
And this is a guy that was highly kind of underrated coming out of college. in my opinion.
Speed was
did he go to
not on his draft
Wisconsin?
resume.
He didn't even. I mean, he was a Heisman finalist, but I think he won the best running back in the country that year, but his senior year, or whatever year he decided to come out for the draft. But honestly, he wasn't a pick that everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is the guy," and he's turned himself into that guy, and he is going. I don't know how Matt Ryan's going to do with the Colts this year, but when he's got a running back like Jonathan Taylor, I don't think Matt Ryan has ever had a guy like that to depend on before. He's had, Freeman. He's had a couple other guys that were just kind of role players. He's not had a dude back there. He's not had, he's their primary back. I couldn't even name you their second back. I know they have one, but I couldn't even name it to you. But I know Marlon Mack, yeah, but he's in and out. Once you said it, I figured it out.
Nyheim Hines on third downs.
Who used to be, those two used to be good fantasy picks, but now.
Yeah.
Well, Jonathan Taylor's made them irrelevant.
He's their dude, that's what I'm saying. So, moving on, we know Jonathan Taylor's in the top 5. All right. So, let's see. Is there another guy for sure, in your opinions, that you think has to be in the top 5? I'm going to say it. You want me to go first? I think Derrick Henry is in the top 5.
Yep. And I think he's the only for sure. After Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry is the only lock. And then we can open the debate up.
I would agree with that. Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, top 5, no doubt.
I will say, though, I don't disagree, guys. I had Jonathan Taylor as 1A, Derrick Henry as 1B. I mean, Derrick Henry is a stud. He does what he does. I am worried that he might have that Christian McCaffrey career shift. He had that injury. What's going to happen? He lost A.J. Brown. They brought in Bobby Trees.
Yep.
I'm real interested to see what the Titans do with him this year.
Yep.
But until that happens, he's got to be in there. And honestly, before you brought up Christian McCaffrey, in my head, when I was thinking of the list, he ran through my head. But, I said I had a list of 7. McCaffrey didn't make my list.
Yeah, he made mine. That's too much talent, man.
I know
we'll
that.
See where he lands.
He's had 2.5 good years of football.
He was the best running back in football for multiple seasons on a crap team with Sam Darnold as quarterback, and what defense.
But
look at these other running backs.
You have no idea. He has nothing to go on. He's been injured. He's played 7 games the last 2 years.
We'll get to CMC.
But here,
let me get some Henry stats out here real quick while we're
Go ahead with Henry.
So he played 8 games last year, right? Like Dave said, injuries could be building up, and it's because of that usage. McCaffrey was getting an insane amount of touches every season. Henry's been getting an insane amount of touches. But in 8 games, Derrick Henry finished in NFL standings for the season 9th in rushing yards. In 8 games. Some of these guys played 17.
Less than half the season.
He finished 10th in carries, which is impressive and also probably part of the problem. 8 games, 10th in carries, and tied for 6th in rushing touchdowns. Only 5 running backs in the NFL scored more touchdowns last season on the ground than Derrick Henry did in less than half a season.
Yeah, so, it's no question. The 2 that we named are in the top 5. I think we can all agree on those. So, moving on from this, do you guys have names that you want to throw out and to be in the conversation? I think here's where the debate is going to come in. And I honestly think statistics are going to kind of carry the load here. But for me, I think I have to go with the eye test and team impact overall to put these guys at the top. So, Dave, you want to throw a name out there?
Yeah, so number 3 on my list, which is, purely based off of fantasy last year, is Nick Chubb, Cleveland Browns. He didn't have his handcuff of Kareem Hunt, who was hurt most of the year, and the guy is just a stud. He carried that offense, and he's just another young guy from Georgia. He's good. He's really good.
I agree with that. Coop, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, I had Chubb on there as well. The thing that stood out for me, I had Chubb at number 3, actually. So, Dave, kudos.
I'm going to be honest
Like
with
you said,
I had Chubb at number 3 too.
it came down to stats. There's only 2 running backs in the NFL last year, over 200 carries, that averaged more than 5 yards. 1 is Jonathan Taylor, and 2 is Nick Chubb. And he did it sharing touches with Kareem Hunt, right? Double-digit touchdowns, 5.5 yards a carry. That is insane, guys. You give him the ball twice, you got a first down. And Baker still couldn't do anything in the playoffs, right?
Hey, maybe Deshaun Watson will.
Let's not get into that one today.
I'm making an official statement here. Same I made with Baker Mayfield. Deshaun's getting too much airtime. He's not worthy of it. He doesn't deserve our time. The listeners don't deserve to hear about him. We're ixnaying Deshaun Watson from the podcast until the NFL kicks him out of the league because it's coming.
Y'all heard it here first.
Here.
No more Deshaun Watson talk.
Blacklist.
All right, so are y'all in agreement? And I want to put this out there to our listeners. If you're listening, we have not discussed this ahead of time whatsoever. We have not said one name. We have not said who do you think should be in the top 2, who's the best. We haven't said anything. And quite frankly, we've already went through 3 guys that we all are in agreement, and we've honestly went 1, 2, 3 in our list, which shows you our opinions and how much we talk to each other and what our opinions are in terms of who the best running back is in the NFL today. And so far we have Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, and now we have Nick Chubb. Eventually there's going to be an argument here somewhere. There has to be. So
I've got it lined up.
I picked one. I picked I picked Derrick Henry. Dave had Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb. I'm gonna let Coop throw a name out there.
Wow, way to let me start the controversy off.
Coop, who you got, buddy? I think at this point is where we're going to see quite a bit of differentiation.
Yeah. I'm going to get my camera in focus real quick. I'm blurry.
Yeah, go ahead.
There we go. So I'm going, the numbers didn't jump out at me on this guy. I mean, they were good. They weren't outstanding, but the eye test is there and the track record's there. I got Dalvin Cook at 4. That's who I want. After these top 3 are gone, that's probably my pick. The Vikings aren't exciting. They're West Coast. We don't see a lot of games. Cook's done it for several years. He can catch. He can run. The efficiency is above average. He gets in the end zone. So there's a little bit of injury concern there, but it's never more than 2 or 3 games, which is expected with the workload running backs getting in the NFL. What do you guys think about Dalvin Cook?
I may put a screenshot. We're recording this. This current conversation it's actually 8:00 on June 19th right now. I sent an email to myself with a list of names in order from who I think should be in the top 5 at 6:04 p.m., an hour before the show actually started. We started at 7.
I'll screen share my list right now.
Coop, I have Dalvin Cook at number 4. Look at Dave. This is the worst argument ever.
No, I'm axing it. I got an argument.
Okay.
I got an argument here.
Hey, guys, just so you know, if you're watching the show, that's how much you can commit to Dave's takes. He'll change them just to be different. So
yeah, he does that shit all the time.
My word is the golden rule around here. You want to stick to my advice.
And the thing is, Coop has all these like statistics to back up his answers. He's like actually thought it through. He looked at like the week 13 matchup against this team and what this kid did there and this and that. I just went on like who I thought was the best, which it's my gut feeling. And our top 4s have matched so far. But Dave's going to be a bitch and be different. So go ahead, Dave.
Hell yeah. We got to do it for TV, baby. That's what we're here for. All right. So the name I'm going to go through out there, kind of the same thing. His stats aren't eye-popping, but he's a good young guy, Najee Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had a pretty good rookie year playing behind Ben Roethlisberger, who was an absolute liability. No offensive line in front of him. And I believe the stat came out that he was on the field for like 90% of the Steelers snaps.
Yeah.
Which, you're looking at a true cowbell back his rookie year, which is pretty rare.
Yeah.
And I would say that there is an argument there to say, hey, he is better than Dalvin Cook currently. And the reason I would say that is because I am a big Dalvin Cook guy. I have him in a lot of fantasy leagues, but he has that injury history, and I always grab Alexander Madison. And Alexander Madison, he won me 2 games this last fantasy season because he put up Dalvin Cook numbers. And
Yeah.
Now you got to ask the question: well, is it Dalvin Cook, or is it just that the Vikings have this great rushing attack? And so that's where I'm going to say, give me Najee Harris currently right now over Dalvin Cook.
I'm gonna be completely transparent, Dave. Back when, 15 minutes ago, when I said I had 7 players on my list, Najee Harris ain't on that 7.
Yeah, I got a pro and a con for Najee. Really 2 pros, but a big con.
He did make a lot of good points, though. I do agree with Dave, but he's just not somebody I thought of as being a top 5 running back right now.
Yeah. So my thing on Najee Harris, one, obviously volume is great. He has it. The biggest knock I have on him is his efficiency. So 17 running backs last year, over 200 carries. That's my threshold. If you're over 200 carries, you are a feature running back.
None of that. Not a lot of the 2-back bullcrap that we see nowadays.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of split backfield. And there was only 17 in the NFL last year had 200 carries. Of those, 4 were under 4 yards a carry. Najee Harris is on that list. Alvin Kamara is another one on there who may hit some top 5s. I do not see him there. The other 2, just to put the names with those guys, David Montgomery and James Conner. And those guys aren't in this conversation. That's the only time you hear those names come up. That's where his efficiency's at as a runner. On the plus side, out of the top 5 running backs in carries, Najee Harris is the only one without a fumble. He doesn't turn it over. 0 fumbles, not even fumble and regain. He didn't even have one. And 74 catches. That's a huge number for a running back. So I can see Harris in the top 5. He's not in mine because of that efficiency. If I'm picking a running back, I want them to pick up yards on the ground. They're a running back. That is my goal. I need to make sure that you can pick up the yards. And if you're in the bottom half of that efficiency for me, I'm not picking you in my backfield.
That's a good point. So Dave threw out Najee Harris. I'm going to throw out a name here, based simply off of the history, his engagement with the current offense that he's in, and it kind of contradicts Coop's point that he just now made about picking up yards on the ground. But we all know that a lot of good positional players in the NFL play out of position. They do different things. A lot of things.
Don't say Alvin Kamara.
I'm getting ready to say Alvin Kamara as being one of the top 5 based on his potential output and his role on the team. And he's kind of similar to the Christian McCaffrey of the world.
No.
But he's healthy.
Don't you disgrace CMC.
No. McCaffrey, I mean, you can't be the best player or one of the best players if you're not on the freaking field.
I'm going to say one thing, and then I'm going to let Dave. I'm going to turn it over to Dave because he's got a lot here. I'm going to let him ramble. Alvin Kamara is the most overrated running back in the NFL. No question about it. Most overrated.
Okay.
And Dave, I'll let you take it over.
Dave, tell me how it is, buddy.
Dude, his best years was when Mark Ingram was doing all the dirty work, getting the dirty yards, getting the first downs, getting the touchdowns. I mean, he's good, but if we're talking about a guy who needs to be on the field, let's not forget this guy beat up somebody the night before the Pro Bowl and still is facing, legal prosecution for assault and battery. I don't think he's even close to this list, but Frank
played the same amount of games as Dalvin Cook last year.
Well, cross him off then.
Yeah,
quick
efficiency too.
reference.
Again, back to the same thing. Like you just said, you liked it with Najee Harris. He has the lowest average yards per carry out of those 17 running backs.
But I did preface it with saying that, like you said, he doesn't run the ball very often. He is more of a flanker, split back, catch it out of the backfield kind of guy, which is what New Orleans has run their offense around in the last couple of years. They don't run the ball particularly well, but they do throw the ball particularly well. And his position is running back. So
let's just keep that train going.
Okay.
We're talking about Alvin Kamara. What about Austin Eckler?
He's out of mine.
Yeah, I don't have him in mind either.
So, I mean, just based off of him being a split back, basically getting the catches out of the backfield, because he was the number 2 fantasy running back, and I guess I should say in a PPR league. So,
yeah, he's a lot like Najee Harris, right? He had 70 catches, and 12 rushing touchdowns. Like, the numbers look good on Eckler, and seems like a really cool dude. He's big into fantasy. There's just something I don't like about the eye test. Like, I don't have a number to jump out at you. 4 fumbles last year, lost 3 of them. Decent efficiency, 4.4 yards a carry. I don't know. Something about Austin Eckler. It's not a good name for a running back. I don't know. I just don't really like him. And I love the Chargers. I'm just like, I was a big Melvin Gordon fan. So I got a little bit of resentment against Austin Eckler for coming in and taking that job. That's a little bit personal on my part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Eckler, I mean, he's a great fantasy player, honestly. But we're looking for, I guess you could say, like, toting the rock traditional style running backs. And right now, I'm going, let's throw another name out there. What about Joe Mixon?
I was waiting on it, you homer.
I have to.
Yeah.
I said 3 other names before Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's not even in my top 5 on my ranking list. Alvin Kamara was the 5th one.
Yeah, I got no
Joe
problems
Mixon
with Mixon.
He was the number 3 fantasy running back in PPR leagues. Cowbell back, Super Bowl playing team. He's just another guy. Like, he doesn't jump out to me though.
Agreed.
And that's the problem we're having now for this 5th spot, is because there's not too many people that jump out at you. And let's throw another name out there. Let's round out my 7 guys that y'all made fun of. The other guy I have on my list is Aaron Jones.
You can't be on this list with the split that Green Bay has. And
That's
it's not
saying,
Aaron Jones' fault.
This is the problem that we're going to run into with this 5th spot. Like, I wanted some other opinions. Like, those are my top 7. And we've already hooped my, like, Alvin, Mixon, Jones. All 3 of those we're saying, okay, maybe not the best. Okay, who do you have that would go into that 5th spot other than those 3?
Talent-wise, I don't disagree with you. I think Aaron Jones
and y'all better
is one
not,
of the most talented.
You better not say Ezekiel Elliott.
No, I don't have Zeke on a list.
No, not even close.
I've got Christian McCaffrey there because if he's healthy, there's nobody outside of Taylor that I want in my backfield more than McCaffrey.
If he's healthy.
That's fine. Because
if you guys have a first-round pick this year,
a dozen.
Are you picking him first round to this year in a fantasy
I
draft?
have him as a keeper, and I'm keeping him.
It doesn't matter. New fantasy league. Are you picking him in the first round?
No, but I'm also not picking Joe Mixon in the first round or Alvin Kamara or Austin Eckler.
But you're thinking we've already had a conversation about McCaffrey. You're picking if McCaffrey is as good as he has been in the past. He's been number 1 overall pick in the past. He was number 1 overall pick for most people last year. And he'll probably be number 1 overall pick for a lot of people this year. Other than
I don't think this year.
3 or 4. But like you fixed it for me. Okay, this year. We're talking about best right now. I don't know how you can put him as top 5 right now without him playing this year. Now, top 5 next year, hell with it. Put him in there.
We just put Derrick Henry up there with 8 games played. Christian McCaffrey played 7. Why is that a stretch?
What was
1 game difference.
What was his stats?
They were not as good.
Exactly.
But
yeah, but it's Sam Darnold throwing him the rock. Like,
ain't nobody throwing Derrick Henry the rock.
He also had 37 catches in 7 games, and Henry had 18. So, like your case for Kamara, which I don't necessarily agree with, works for McCaffrey, which I do agree with. I got CMC in my 5th spot. There's 2 other names I'd like to mention in the conversation, but to me, it's Christian McCaffrey. He's too good for him not to be included. When we're having all this conversation about these other guys, these maybes, these ifs, you got backups in Minnesota that can win you weeks. You got Elijah Mitchell, who I'd like to mention because he put up insane stats last year and could be included on this list as a 5th round pick. Like, you can get running back production, so why not take CMC and I'll get somebody off a practice squad that can go in and get me 70 yards a game.
I agree with that also. But we're putting them in the same conversation to see some of these other guys that we're not putting in the top 5.
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready to drop the bomb on you guys.
Drop a bomb, Dave.
You said it.
Tony
You
Pollard.
said Elijah Mitchell. I want Deebo Samuel.
Oh.
Agreed.
I wouldn't care. I wouldn't put.
I'm on board.
I'd be all right with that.
Give that man the rock anywhere on the field. He's going to make a play. Wide receiver, running back.
Are we going to put a wide receiver as a top 5 running back in the NFL right now?
Well, I mean, that's the question, though. Do the fantasy sites list him as wide receiver, running back next year?
It depends on
depending on his role.
So what team he's on.
Well, he's showing up for minicamp, so it sounds like he's going to play.
Yeah, but we all know how that goes.
I'm all for it. I love it.
We can make a splash right now and put him in there. I don't care.
8 rushing touchdowns, 6.2 yards a carry last season.
That's pretty damn good.
And that's not, that was out of the backfield, right? That's not like reverses or stuff.
Those are rushing attempts. So as long as the ball's handed backwards, yeah, it counts.
So of the people that we mentioned, how many of them had more than 8 rushing touchdowns?
Oh, man, put me on the spot with some quick stats.
Did Kamara have more than 8?
You're going to have to give me a minute.
We got time.
Numbers guy wasn't prepared.
Alvin Kamara did not.
Okay. He goes above Kamara.
Henry did. Taylor did. Mixon did. Eckler did. That's it. Out of the guys we mentioned.
Whoo. Listen, if y'all are in, I'm in. Deebo Samuel, top 5 running back in the NFL, listed as a wide receiver.
The same amount of touchdowns as Nick Chubb.
Oh, damn. Chubb was hurt a lot, though.
Chubb played 14 games.
Yeah,
so
no,
Chubb wasn't hurt that much. Hey, let's do it. I'm cool with it.
The only other name I throw in this conversation is Damian Harris. He had a hell of a year in New England.
He did.
He did, but it's the
touchdown,
same
boys.
thing where Ramondre Stevens is handcuffing him.
But he hit that 200 attempts mark, which is my benchmark. You get 200 carries in a season.
You're the dude.
That's pretty solid.
And he's a Kentucky kid. I just don't know if he's top 5 right now. In my opinion, I would love nothing more because we played against him, Coop. Coop and I played against Damian Harris. He was a freshman. We were seniors. We beat that ass at Madison Southern.
He did stiff arm me for a touchdown. That's my favorite story to tell.
His first carry of the game.
He only ran for 200 yards.
He broke it for 70 yards as a freshman.
Yeah.
We did end up beating them, though. It was at home. It was one of our first games of the year, I think. It was early on, before district game started. He was a freshman. He was built like a brick shit house. But we did beat that ass. He probably did have 150 yards rushing on us and a couple touchdowns. But, at the end of the day, it's about the scoreboard, baby.
Yeah. At the time, when he was a 12-year-old child, he didn't really truck you. You just couldn't let him get outside. I will say this. Couldn't catch him.
I'll say this. We graduated. We played 9 of 11 seniors on our defensive side of the ball that year. Me and Coop both played defense, but the following year, his sophomore year, he broke the school record for Madison Southern's touchdowns in a single game against us. He had like 9 touchdowns the following year against us at Madison Southern. And the reason I know that is because my brother played and I went and watched the game. So
He wasn't any help on defense.
No, nobody would. They, man, that was a tough game to watch. Every time Damian Harris touched the ball, he scored.
And
He
he's
had
still
like
doing
10
it, boys.
He had like 11 carries for 9 touchdowns. I swear to God, he did. He didn't play the fourth quarter. But anyway, I'm cool with putting Deebo Samuel in the top 5, in my opinion. I think it's technically cheating, in my opinion. But in terms of running back production, he's done a lot better than other people have.
I don't think it's cheating because teams are now referring to a Deebo Samuel role. He has created, well, I guess Shanahan, we should give Shanahan the credit because he's the one that's really doing it. But Deebo's talent allows him to, is this wide back position. I mean, that's what it's referred to now. And you're seeing it, people talking about, we want this guy in the Deebo Samuel role. We want him in the wide back role. And there's very few players that can fill it. I think Washington actually is in the best position because they got a couple guys. Like McLaurin probably could do some. Curtis Samuel has.
Yeah, that's the one
did it
guy
in Carolina.
I think of.
And I think A.J. Brown at 6 foot 224 is built perfect to be a wide back. When I'm playing Madden, dude, that's what I want in my backfield every time. Position changed. A.J. Brown in the backfield, 94 speed, can catch anything. Like, that's what the game's going to. So I think it's a great call out, Dave. I love it. I'll put Deebo at 5.
Hey, let's do it, Phils.
Hey, I will say we do have to give one guy a huge shout out because I think this guy was the first wide back, Cordaro Patterson. I mean, he had a resurgence with the Falcons this year. He's not top 5. He's not top 10. But on a bad Falcons team, he was the spotlight this last year.
I like that. Long time Chicago Bear there.
Career kick returner.
I was going to say mostly thought of as a kick returner, but now, playing some other spots. But here we are. We've rounded out our top 5. We've got Jonathan Taylor. And honestly, you can say in this order or no particular order, but I'm going to say in this order based on our opinions. Jonathan Taylor, number 1. Derrick Henry, number 2. We have Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, and Deebo Samuel wrapping out our top 5. That is our top 5 NFL running backs right now. If you agree or disagree, we don't care, but we would love to hear your opinions. Drop them in the comment box below. Like the video, share the video, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. We appreciate the love as always. We are the Trifecta Sports Podcast. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week. I will be at the beach all week. I'm going to be shooting out videos left and right on the YouTube channel. Be sure to watch those. Make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel again. Trying to get to 100. We love you. We appreciate the listeners. Y'all have a great day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Happy birthday to Reed. Happy Juneteenth if you celebrate that holiday. Great day. We appreciate the listen. Love you guys. Peace.